You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I can do those things because I'm not a hero. I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be.
They'll hunt you.
You'll hunt me. You'll condemn me. Set the dogs on me. Because that's what needs to happen. Because sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded.
Okay, I'm really just doing this because I want to get some thoughts down, even though they might be random, because you wake up out of a dream and a moment of clarity shows up and a moment of passion shows up. Normally those two things don't show up at the same time. So I know if I go back to sleep and try to recall this tomorrow, there's going to be something missing. Dr. Johnson did a review of the Black Panther yesterday, and about the misandry that's going on in the Black Panther and the replacement of the black male figures and the erasing of black masculinity in a film, in a series supposed to be about black masculinity. Go figure. But there's something that he mentioned about masculinity in films, especially the Top Gun Maverick. Talked about how masculine men show love to their charges, whether it's a man, whether it's female, whether it's their country, whether it's whatever, right? When men show love through sacrifice, that's the one thing that men universally do, and how they show it universally, so through sacrifice, through resources, through protection, money, pushing their charges or their people next to them to be better. You can see it in war movies. You can see it in sports movies. You can see it in hero movies, right? The first thing, if you think about Batman and the Dark Knight or Superman or whatever it is, it's not just them being masculine and beating up people. The real hero shows up no matter what, through sacrifice. And that's the way men understand love. Sacrifice. And also that's how women and others understand men's love, through sacrifice. Why am I saying that? Why am I starting it off with that? Because we have a world under stress. No doubt about it. It's been coming for a long time. It's been under stress for a long time, but now the cracks are starting to show. And in the black community, first to get hit, sometimes the last to know, the black community, especially black women, are seeing the cracks. So, and I've said this 5-6 years ago, even though I knew it was coming 7 years ago. I was off about the date, maybe 3 to 4 years, but it's here. And I was saying to the black men that were hoping beyond hope that their black women would be reasonable and within reason would come back to the table. And so they spent 10 years going back and forth, voicing their displeasure, voicing their reason, voicing their complaints, voicing their solutions. People don't think there's not solutions that come out of the black manosphere. There's tons of them. It's not solutions that women like, but there's tons of them. And I told them that none of that talking, none of that showing, none of that demonstrating was going to change women. The only thing that changed women, and it's been proven over millennia, is stress in the environment. That's what changes women. That's what modifies women's behavior. On a broader scale, it's a human thing, but it especially affects women. So now, fast forward, we get automation, we get COVID, and now we got this stagflation that's going on. So now the whisper that started in 2019 when automation was replacing jobs turned into the talk under COVID with Kevin Samuels. Now it's turning in 2022 to a roar, and black men are getting shouted at, getting screamed at. All of a sudden, we don't need a man we need you Negroes to come back and save this community. And we need you to do it right now, which is all cute and all predictable and also very disingenuous, because what does it not show? It doesn't show care. Guess what it doesn't also not show to black men? It doesn't show love, because from all the other groups out there, all the other crowd out there pressing upon black men to do something, to get back together, to fix and heal the community, to do some work, what are they doing? They're expecting you to go back in and do what you've done for the last 300 years. Show love through sacrifice. And show love through sacrifice without getting it reciprocated. And what black men are hearing through Obie Allen, through B1, through Divestors, through black women empowerment, through all these channels, through the conscious community, the Back to Africanist movement, the nationalist movement, what they're hearing is they want you and sometimes even need you to come back and show love through sacrifice. But what they're not doing is reciprocating that love. That's what black men are hearing. There's no reciprocation. Nobody's asking black men what they need. The only people asking black men what they need is other black men. And when black men do ask the other parties for what they need physically, emotionally, financially, psychologically, the answer they hear back is, how come you don't do it for yourselves? How come black men don't help black boys read? How come black men don't get black men off the pavement that are homeless? How come black men don't create other jobs for black men? How come black men don't go up against the police in the United States when they get shot down? How come black men don't protect other black men? How come black men don't make sure that black men get to college and learn what they need to learn? How come black men don't set up systems for black men? So what you want is black men to sacrifice for themselves, which is fine. And I agree. Black men should show love to each other through sacrifice, the same way they do for everybody else. That's like when you see the hashtag SYSBM. It doesn't just stand for dating and mating and going out of the country to get pussy, or going out of the country to get married, or marrying a white woman or a Latina woman or whatever, right? Doesn't even mean that, even though that is part of the bait. Hashtag SYSBM is understood. Save yourself means just that, save yourself. Why? Because ain't nobody coming for you. And that's the one thing that Dr. Johnson keeps telling black men especially. If we don't do it, it ain't going to happen, because ain't nobody coming for us. Not the white power structure in the United States, not the white liberal women that claim to care, and damn sure not your woman, because she's looking to get, not to give. And that's what black men hear. So we hear somebody like a Mary Brown talking about gender banging and being a patriarch and this, that, and other. He's talking about black men going back in and sacrificing again, showing love, showing the ultimate love of sacrificing for the black community. Not what black men need, not what black men need to heal, not telling black women what black men need to heal or what they need to hear or how they should show love. Black men only understand love through sacrifice. Having sex with a black man, especially the way it's been done in the black community, is not sacrificing. Black women do not have sex with you as a sacrifice. Black women look to get something emotionally, physically, monetarily, psychologically out of you through sex. And if you don't pleasure her, she doesn't get anything out of you blowing her back out or pleasuring her. She's going to talk shit about you and she's going to cast you aside. Every black man knows that. Even dating, she's not looking to give you an exchange. She's looking to be entertained. She's giving you access, not reciprocation. She's giving you an opportunity to love her. She's not showing love back. The old-fashioned mothers, my mother and before that, were they good at telling you that they loved you? No, they weren't. They knew back then that how they showed appreciation, even whether they loved you or not, appreciation and hopefully love is by doing things for you, sacrificing things for you, cleaning your house, cooking your food, baking your cake, feeding you, sometimes washing your hair, washing your clothes, whatever, right? They showed love by sacrifice. They showed love by doing. Even though they were getting the better of the deal, better part of the deal, better part of the exchange, you go back and look at fences. No matter what you say about Rose and Troy, Rose got the better deal, and she knew it. But she at least did the minimum part of her duty through the small sacrifices that she did to make his life easier. Men understand love. Men understand love the way you understand love. Because if that wasn't love, then you wouldn't ask for it. Now, bear with me because this is not written down. This is not a contiguous thought. This is not an essay. So I'm going to stray for a minute. A recent content creator, Obie Allen, who I actually like, and Courtney Michelle, who I actually like. So this is not a dig toward them, toward their person. So I like them. That being said, what men hear, what the Black manosphere hears, I think is misguided. What they're doing is misguided. What they hear you attacking them for them protecting themselves. The red pill, the Black manosphere, SYSBM. And your mission is to save the Black community. All well and good. And who you're talking to, I believe who you're talking to is women. If I get it wrong, charge it to my heart and not to my head. I charge it to my head and not to my heart. I think that's the way it was put. In my opinion, and this is what I see, and I could be wrong. You're talking to women. You're trying to have them see the error of their ways, not to change them, not to get them to love Black men, because that's what Black men are desiring, not to give Black men what's needed. What you're trying to do is soften them up enough to where they're tolerable, not desired, tolerable, not needed by Black men, but tolerable. Because, right now, Black women are, as a whole, not all, as a whole, are intolerable and insufferable, especially compared to the other groups of women who really don't have our best interests at heart either. It's one thing about this whole westernized sexual marketplace, the sexual playing field, right? None of the women have your best interests at heart. Zero. Black men know that none of these chicks, none of these bras have their best interests at heart. They really don't love them. That's how come Black men are always put upon a fence to prove themselves to worthy of love. If Black men have to prove themselves to be respected and loved, then that means they're not respected and loved to begin with. If Black women will not even think about cooperating until you jump over a ton of hurdles, that means you can't work with them to begin with. That means that they're insufferable and difficult, incorrigible. And what I see on the other side, even the well-meaning people on the other side, and I do believe they're well-meaning because they want to save an entity that they love. And they know Black women will not do it because what it takes is love and sacrifice. And Black women do not love the community enough, the Black people enough to sacrifice for it. They don't. They're looking for Black men to do it because Black men always have. And now they're upset that Black men won't do it anymore or talking about not doing it anymore. But what they're doing in all these groups that I can see as a whole is they're trying to modify Black women's insufferable, difficult attitude enough to where it sounds like they can be a sympathetic figure. They want Black men to feel sorry enough to actually come back in and deal with Black women in their dysfunction. You ever see, well, I'm sure you see it all the time, right? Black women in their dysfunction, they start lashing out and beating a Black man in the head. That is a picture that every time Obie Allen, Amiri Brown, Clarence Jr., and all these people that come through talking about Black men coming back and loving Black women, that's the picture that we see. That's the picture that Black men see. They don't see the loving, patting on the head, caretaking Black woman. They see that they have to come back in, and the chick that's beating you in the head, you got to sit there and take it because that's the way you show love. That's the way you show care. If she can abuse you enough till she gets tired, she'll believe that you love her. And maybe if she believes enough that you love her, she'll change. If you sacrifice enough, you get beat up enough, you come back and you save enough baby mamas, you spend enough time in the courts, spend enough time in the jail trying to support your kids, you die enough in the streets, you work enough hours. That's really what they want. They want you to work 16, 17, 20 hours a day to support black women and support the Black family, bring it up out of its morass, right? That's what they want. And that's what Black men hear. Black men hear you're not doing enough. You're not active enough. You're not saving enough Black women. You're not fighting the white supremacy enough. You're not doing whatever enough, right? You're not successful enough. You're not working hard enough. You're not making enough money. You're not building enough institutions. You're not doing this, and this, and this. And you wonder why they don't hear love? Now, what do you need? What do you need to help? What do you need for us to help you? Nobody talks about black women sharing their positions or their money, not even with their children. You don't even ask what black men need or how can I help? So you think that you can mouth the words, I love you or I care about you, and that's enough? How do black men see love? Black men can't do that to black women. Those are empty words. But you think that you can give empty words back to us and we're supposed to take it? Black men show and receive love. How? Doing and sacrifice. If you can't do, you can't sacrifice, black men will not see that as love. They can't, because you're expecting them to show love that way too. I heard a black woman from Chicago and over in Africa going through the things, and she said the exact same thing. She said the community, how a community is supposed to be there to protect women and children, and how black men are supposed to show love through sacrifice. And they've been taught the way women show love is through access. It's never been true. So what I'm saying is all these groups are screaming and hollering and shouting at black men and trying to shame them and trying to make black women look at like victims. And so that black men will feel sorry enough for them and sorry enough for the black community to come back in and lay down their lives again for it. And they're mad is because black men said, I've seen this before. I know how this turns out. And they see all these people as Lucy holding the football and knowing in the end that you will not kick that football. Knowing in the end, the frustration of Lucy is the black woman and Charlie Brown is the black man. And that football is the black community. And we're going to run all those yards to kick this football, all this effort to kick this football just for them to pull it up again. That's what black men see. And they're not going to try to kick the football again. They're going to go the other way. Why? Because they haven't heard the one thing that they need to hear. They haven't been shown the one thing that they need to be shown. They haven't heard about sacrifice. That's what they haven't heard. That's what they haven't felt. That's what they haven't seen. I talked about the crack era because I was there. I was one of those guys. And so all these men fall off. All these chicks follow after drug dealers and get pregnant and have kids. And the whole community was in disarray, dysfunction. Black men had to step into the gap so that the community could function as they were trained to do. I'm not saying it was completely out of love. They were trained to do this. They were bred to do this, and they stepped into the gap. And they took a community that was crumbling and falling apart and held it together long enough for it to heal itself. And 20 years later, black men get blamed for it and get kicked in the ass. When we know that the United States government pushed this stuff into your communities, we know that this plague was set upon the black community by an outside force. Black men didn't put this stuff into the communities. Black men didn't put this temptation into the communities. There was an outside force. It's been documented. But it was black men that stood into the gaps to actually keep the community together. Help raise these children, get them out of foster care, get them from out of homes. Okay, when the other black men and black women fell off, a drug dealer has, because he's got money, he's got 14 kids by 7 baby mamas. And when he goes to jail, he gets killed. Guess what happens? Who stands in the gap? Who holds this ship, this community falling apart together? Black men are the glue that holds this community together, and everybody knows it. And when they decide to leave, it starts falling apart. Other women have seen black men do this. And other women have seen the sacrifice that black men make for their women, their family, and their community. But that goes unsung. That goes unappreciated. That's Lucy with the football. And so when black men are going elsewhere because they know those chicks don't love them, they know that. But at least those chicks will appreciate them. You appreciate their sacrifice and tell them that their sacrifice is needed, especially when these women have no other connection to the black man except that. They know the only possible woman that could love them is a black woman, but she doesn't. But guess what she also doesn't do? She doesn't appreciate them. She doesn't really acknowledge them. And how black men here is, I want to use you for my purposes again. All the institutions, all the baby mamas, all the whatever, right? Even for dates. Okay, if you can't blow my back out, you can't entertain me, you can't this, and this, guess what? I don't need you. Other women will take what I give out and appreciate it. They'll take a tenth of that and say, wait a minute, this is what you're giving? We'll take it. We'll make your life easier. We'll show you appreciation. We'll make your life easier. We'll reciprocate by doing. So you want black men back? You want black men back in the community? You want black men to come back and save the black culture that's been around, for 20 years, even though it's got defects and it's falling apart? You want black men to come back and do it? To come back and save it so it doesn't fall apart and disappear? You're going to have to give them what they need. You're going to have to give them what they want. And you're going to have to show them in a way that they can accept, which is sacrifice. And I'm going to end this with a couple of quotes from the Christian Bible, right? About sacrifice. Something everybody knows. First one, everybody knows it. Everybody's been around a Christian, right? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Sacrifice. He gave it. He put his own son in the gap to save a world, right? We see that all the time with men, right? Sacrifice. And the last one is by Jesus. Man has no greater love than to sacrifice his own life for his friends, or the ones that he loves. He put himself in the gap. He breached the gap between God and man by sacrificing himself. No greater love you can show another. We see it all the time. Black women ask for it all the time. Protection. What do they mean? You will lay down your life for her safety. Sacrifice. That's the way women understand it when black men do it. And that's the way men understand it. And they're not seeing it. Tell them everything else except what? We're willing to sacrifice for you. We're willing to take the white man's money that we get, willing to give that a part of that to you to help you. We're willing to give up the wine bars and the weaves and the wigs and the makeup and the nails so that you can have a better opportunity, that you can go to school, that you can get a book that will change your life. Sacrifice. Black men don't see it. That's how come black men don't believe it. And more black men are leaving because not only are they not getting it, and when they do give it, it's not recognized or appreciated. I know it's brief, truncated. It probably can go on another hour if I really allow it to come up. But for right now, I guess this will suffice. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.